Turkish Soft Power and the Neo-Ottoman Narrative, a 21st Century Geopolitical Strategy. Introduction. In the early 21st century, Turkey redefined its role on the international stage by shifting from a peripheral actor to an ambitious regional power. One of the most prominent tools in its foreign policy arsenal has been soft power, a strategy rooted in cultural, historical, and diplomatic influence rather than military force. At the heart of this approach lies the Neo-Ottoman narrative, an ideology that blends nostalgia for Ottoman grandeur with modern political pragmatism. Under the leadership of the Justice and Development Party, AKP, and especially under President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, this narrative has come to shape Turkey's international ambitions, regional interventions, and global image. This essay explores the evolution, mechanisms, and consequences of Turkish soft power and its Neo-Ottoman undertones. Theoretical background. What is soft power? Soft power, a concept developed by Joseph Nye, refers to the ability of a country to persuade others to do what it wants without force or coercion. Instead, soft power is rooted in culture, political values, and foreign policy. Unlike hard power, which involves economic or military coercion, soft power relies on attraction and influence. For Turkey, soft power has served as a critical tool to expand its sphere of influence, particularly in the Middle East, Balkans, Caucasus, and Central Asia. This approach aligns well with the ideological framework of Neo-Ottomanism, which seeks to reassert Turkey's leadership in regions once part of the Ottoman Empire. 2. Rise of Neo-Ottomanism in Turkish foreign policy. The term Neo-Ottomanism emerged in the 1990s but gained practical significance after the AKP's rise to power in 2002. Spearheaded by thinkers such as Ahmet Davutoglu, former foreign minister and prime minister, this doctrine called for Turkey to engage more actively in its historic periphery. It marked a shift away from the Kemalist foreign policy of Western alignment and secular nationalism. Neo-Ottomanism does not imply territorial irredentism, but rather a cultural and strategic revival of Ottoman-era influence. It reimagines Turkey as a central power in a multipolar world, emphasizing historical connections, Islamic identity, and a proactive diplomatic stance in regional affairs. Under this vision, Turkey is not merely a NATO ally or EU candidate, but a civilizational state. 3. Instruments of Turkish soft power. 1. Cultural diplomacy and media exports. Turkish television dramas have become a formidable soft power instrument. Series such as Magnificent Century, Muhteşem Yüzyıl, Diriliş, Ertuğrul, and Payitaht Abdülhamid glorify Ottoman history and Islamic valor, resonating strongly with audiences in the Middle East, South Asia, and the Balkans. These shows present a romanticized and moralized version of Turkish history, aligning with the Neo-Ottoman narrative and Islamic values. Turkish cultural institutes, particularly the Yunus Emre Institute, also promote language and cultural programs abroad, aiming to foster a positive image of Turkish civilization. 2. Religious diplomacy and Diyanet. The Diyanet, Turkey's Directorate of Religious Affairs, plays a crucial role in exporting religious soft power. The Diyanet has expanded its operations globally, funding mosques and religious education in Europe, Africa, and Central Asia. Through this institution, Ankara spreads a state-sanctioned, moderate Sunni Islam that aligns with its geopolitical objectives. 3. Humanitarian aid and development assistance. Turkey has emerged as one of the world's leading humanitarian aid donors. Through agencies such as TİKA, Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, and AFAD, Disaster and Emergency Management Authority, Ankara provides infrastructure development, healthcare, education, and emergency relief to numerous countries, especially in Africa, the Balkans, and the Middle East. These initiatives portray Turkey as a benevolent power and build trust among local populations. 4. Education and scholarships. Turkey offers thousands of scholarships to students from Asia, Africa, and the Balkans to study at Turkish universities. The Turkey AFES Scholarships Program serves both as an educational opportunity and as a long-term soft power investment, as alumni often retain a positive perception of Turkey and its culture. V. Regional application of Turkish soft power. 1. The Balkans. The Balkans, historically part of the Ottoman Empire, have become a central arena for Turkish soft power. Through mosque restoration, cultural centers, and media influence, Turkey has cultivated religious and ethnic ties, particularly with Bosniaks, Albanians, and Muslim communities in Macedonia and Kosovo. However, this has also sparked suspicion and resistance from Serbia, Greece, and Bulgaria, where Turkish influence is seen as potentially destabilizing or neo-imperial. 2. The Middle East. In the Arab world, Turkish dramas, religious outreach, and Erdogan's image as a strong Muslim leader have made significant inroads, especially during the Arab Spring. Erdogan's criticism of Israel and vocal defense of Palestinian rights earned him admiration in Jordan, Lebanon, and even Egypt. Yet Turkey's support for the Muslim Brotherhood, especially during the short-lived Morsi government in Egypt, antagonized other regional powers like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, who viewed Ankara's ideological ambitions as a threat to their monarchies. 3. Sub-Saharan Africa. Turkey has dramatically increased its presence in Africa through embassy openings, development aid, scholarships, and business investments. Turkish Airlines now serves more African destinations than any other non-African airline. This multifaceted approach, combining economic cooperation with humanitarian assistance, has allowed Turkey to position itself as an alternative to traditional Western or Chinese partners. V. The Neo-Ottoman narrative in domestic and international discourse. The Neo-Ottoman narrative is not just an external strategy. It has also reshaped domestic identity and political discourse within Turkey. The AKP has actively reintroduced Ottoman symbols, architecture, and history into public life. For instance, new government buildings emulate Ottoman styles, and national holidays emphasize pre-Republican heritage. This narrative helps consolidate national unity and Islamic identity, often in contrast to Kemalist secularism. Erdogan's speeches frequently invoke Ottoman greatness, portraying modern Turkey as the legitimate heir to a glorious past. Internationally, this narrative seeks to project Turkey as a leader of the Muslim world, a defender of the oppressed, and a bridge between East and West. This positioning also serves to legitimize Turkish interventions in Syria, Iraq, Libya, and the Eastern Mediterranean by framing them as protective or restorative missions rooted in historical responsibility. Criticism and limitations. Despite its successes, Turkish soft power and the Neo-Ottoman agenda face significant criticism and structural limitations. Matter 1. Authoritarian drift and human rights. Turkey's democratic backsliding, especially after the 2016 coup attempt, has tarnished its image as a model Muslim democracy. Crackdowns on journalists, academics, and political opponents have weakened its normative appeal abroad. Western partners now view Ankara with skepticism, and some soft power gains have eroded in liberal circles. 2. Geopolitical overreach. Turkey's regional activism has sometimes backfired. Military incursions into Syria, maritime tensions with Greece, involvement in Nagorno-Karabakh, and disputes with France and Egypt have painted Ankara as aggressive rather than benevolent. While the Neo-Ottoman discourse appeals to domestic voters and select foreign audiences, it also alienates regional rivals and Western allies who interpret it as revisionist or expansionist. 3. Competition with other regional powers. Turkey's soft power ambitions often clash with the Gulf states, Iran, and even Russia, particularly in Syria, Libya, and the Caucasus. Each of these actors pursues its own ideological and strategic vision, creating a crowded and volatile geopolitical arena where Turkey's cultural diplomacy can only go so far. 7. Turkey's soft power in a post-COVID and multipolar world. The COVID-19 pandemic offered new opportunities for soft power projection. Turkey engaged in mass diplomacy, sending medical supplies to over 100 countries. Erdogan positioned Turkey as a responsible global actor, boosting its humanitarian credentials. In a multipolar world, where the influence of the US and Europe is less absolute, Turkey sees more room to assert an independent and culturally assertive foreign policy. However, the success of this strategy hinges on maintaining a balance between ideological ambition and pragmatic cooperation. Turkey's use of soft power through the Neo-Ottoman narrative represents a complex blend of historical romanticism, strategic ambition, and cultural diplomacy. From popular TV dramas to mosque renovations in Bosnia, Ankara has skillfully leveraged its Ottoman past to foster new alliances, shape perceptions, and expand influence. Yet this strategy also faces inherent tensions. The attempt to revive imperial grandeur in a modern, fragmented international system invites both admiration and resistance. If managed carefully, Turkish soft power could continue to elevate Ankara''s role as a key regional player. If overextended or coupled with hard power adventurism, it risks provoking backlash and isolation. In the end, the Neo-Ottoman narrative is not just a foreign policy tool. It is a political myth, a civilizational identity, and a vision of Turkey's place in the 21st century world order. Whether it succeeds will depend on Turkey's ability to balance ambition with diplomacy, nostalgia with reality, and influence with restraint.